The ink on the contract was still wet when Aisha felt the first tear roll down her cheek. She had signed away not just her name, but her freedom, her dreams, and perhaps, her soul. The pen had felt heavy in her hand, but not heavier than the burden of her family's debts pressing down on her like a mountain she could never climb. Across the table, seated in a perfectly tailored black suit, was the man she was now bound to, Zion Malik. His expression was unreadable, his eyes cold and distant, as if this marriage was just another business transaction to him. And maybe it was. For him, it was numbers, power, and convenience. For her, it was survival. Before we go deeper into Aisha's journey, a journey of heartbreak, resilience, and unexpected turns, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Your support helps us keep bringing you stories that speak to the soul. Aisha's life had never been easy, but she had learned to carry her struggles quietly. Her father's business had collapsed after a cruel betrayal by his closest partner, and the debt collectors had circled like vultures. Her younger brother's education was on the line, their home at risk of being sold. That's when Zion's offer had come, an offer that seemed like a lifeline but felt like a chain around her neck. Marry him for 1 year, pretend to be his wife in public, and in return, he would settle her family's debts. No promises of love, no talk of forever, just a contract. The wedding was a spectacle for the world but hollow in her heart. The glittering chandeliers, the strings of white orchids, the soft rustle of silk as guests admired her dress, none of it could mask the truth that she was walking into a cage. In the photographs, they looked like a perfect couple, but behind closed doors, their lives barely touched. He worked late, kept conversations short, and treated her presence like an obligation. She told herself she didn't care, that this was only temporary, but at night, lying awake in the vast emptiness of their shared home, loneliness gnawed at her like an open wound. Days turned into weeks, and Aisha learned more about the man she had married. Zion was disciplined, precise, and always in control. He never raised his voice, never displayed affection, and never revealed what lay beneath his icy exterior. She would catch fleeting moments, though, his eyes lingering on her when he thought she wasn't looking, his hand hesitating when passing her something, as if there was something he wanted to say but couldn't. Still, the walls between them were high, and neither dared to climb them. The turning point came one rainy night. Aisha had been out shopping for groceries when the downpour began, and the city streets turned into rivers. She had forgotten her umbrella and arrived home drenched and shivering. As she struggled with the keys, the door opened from the inside, and there was Zion, standing with an expression she couldn't read. Without a word, he took her bag, guided her in, and wrapped a towel around her shoulders. It was the smallest act of care, but for Aisha, it was the first crack in the cold armor he wore. That night, she saw a hint of warmth in him, a warmth he seemed determined to hide. Slowly, life began to shift. He started leaving her favorite tea on the table in the mornings, making sure her car was fueled, and once, he even attended her brother's school event, standing in the back like a silent guardian. The more she saw this side of him, the more dangerous her own heart became. She reminded herself that love wasn't part of the deal. But feelings, once they took root, rarely obeyed rules. Aisha faced her hardest moment when her father fell gravely ill. Hospital corridors became her second home, and exhaustion became her shadow. Through it all, Zion was there, not with grand gestures, but with quiet, steady presence. He sat with her during long nights, handled bills without a word, and made sure she ate even when she had no appetite. For the first time, she felt safe, even if she didn't fully understand why. As the months passed, the 1-year contract's end loomed closer. Every day felt heavier, knowing their time was running out. She wanted to tell him that somewhere along the way, she had stopped pretending. That this wasn't just a contract for her anymore. But she feared his answer, feared breaking the fragile peace they had built. On the final day of the contract, she stood by the window, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors too beautiful for her breaking heart. She had packed her things, leaving behind the home that had been both her prison and her refuge. But before she could walk out, Zion appeared, holding something in his hand. It was their contract, torn in half. His voice, soft but steady, broke the silence as he said that somewhere along the way, she had stopped being his agreement and had become his home. And that he didn't want a year with her, he wanted a lifetime. The tears came fast then, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming relief of being truly seen, truly wanted. The woman who had signed away her future for survival now had a future she could choose, and she chose him. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories, so we can keep creating stories that move your soul. Special request. Tell us in the comments, if you were in Aisha's place, would you sign the contract? And so, under a sky full of fading light, two people who had started as strangers bound by paper found themselves bound by something far more powerful: love, born quietly, but strong enough to last forever.